Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ijaz, CEO of the club, CEO club. Mr. June, Continental Indonesia, and our dear friend Zubair Motiwala, Sahab, and Shabar Zaidi Sahab, and so many familiar faces sitting here. Distinguished business community members, fellow businessmen, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon to all of you. I think it is a proud privilege for me to address all of you, a very distinguished elite gathered here today in this very august gathering, I believe, and I'm really thankful to you for giving me this chance. I've been speaking at so many forums, and everywhere where we go and we speak, I basically speak for a good future for Pakistan. Because I believe that this country has been to so many tests and so many problems and so many very, very difficult moments. Just to narrate a few, that when Benazir's first government came in, we had only $457 million of reserves. That's all, less than half a billion dollars. And when Pervez Musharraf came in, it was 882 or something like that, less than $1 billion. And from there, we grew. We took it to $21 billion, and for a long time we had $14 billion plus as the reserves in the bank. What has happened? If you look at the COVID era, which is not very far, I don't want to take you from ancient history, but just let's go to COVID era, where we had very big problems and very problematic issues were there. But Pakistan survived those days. We had less of that epidemic, and Bangladesh and India had severe of this pandemic. We were working, so we exported about 21% more than the previous years. So now this was the chance Pakistan got, and we got those clients who were actually importing from India and Bangladesh. We got that. We proved our mettle. Our qualities were cleared, and we were able to export more. Then what happened? We did $31.8 billion of export, highest in the history of Pakistan. Then today where we are, this year we would be closing down at about 27 or 27 something plus. That's all. So what has happened in those 2 years or 3 years? We have to understand this. In my point of view, the political instability is a key factor for all economic retardation. Absolutely, there is no questions about it. And at least in Pakistan, people start getting, trust deficit. They have the confidence on Pakistan shatters. Confidence of the country shatters. And plus, the media is also a big role to play. They call it 4 pillars of the economy. I said the first pillar is media, then the judiciary, and then all others. So whatever today we are looking at is that social media or print media or telemedia, whatever you call it, they're playing their role, and those, because they want to sell their airtime. They want to save those expenditures and bringing those people there and making those programs where criticism is a best thing to have more viewership. That's what we feel like that. And when somebody is talking about Pakistan, they change the channel. So that's what is happening. That's what we are tuned to. So we are frightened to an extent that we don't know what is happening. The first turn came in, what we are experiencing today, is the ban on clearance of cargo arrived at the Karachi port. That the container, not clearing the containers, so arrived at Pakistan port, in spite of the fact that all these containers came through letter of credits, DAs, DPs, and on a confidence and agreement basis. Because we are doing business, let's say 25 years, 30 years, the confidence is created and the exporters do export it. And we just clear that and we send those money afterwards. This is very common, and this is the way you do business. But that was denied. And that was the biggest debacle Pakistan had. In my point of view, what we are seeing today is that those containers which arrived at the ports, they were supposed to be cleared, and Pakistan government had the obligation to pay those. We had those letter of credits. And when you say letter of credit, that means your credit is the stake. Kindly understand what is happening. If I have agreed to this and my agreement with the seller is actually, bank has passed this, I've gone through the state bank process and I've done this, then it's not my obligation. It's obligation of the country which has to pay this. They did not do this. And this actually created, the entire world got suspicious about Pakistan and what is happening and what is not happening. They could have done it gradually. And then, what happened? The finance minister called a meeting that we have got this problem, these problems. And, they also banned that Chapter 84, 85. Shabar Zaidi Sahab knows this. So, that Chapter 84, 85 had some luxury goods, but majority of them were also the raw materials. There was a committee made, and I was that chairman of the committee, and we actually shrunk this at the chamber, and we made that 84, 85 chapter shrunk to a level where only the raw materials are there. Then I sent it to those people after 2 days, and then they said, no, we want more, you shrunk it more. I said, okay, then we did it. After that even, that means they lost the, everybody was a part of that, may it be Lahore, may it be Hyderabad, whatever, the cities of Karachi. Whoever the sufferers were, affectees were, they were part of that committee. When the committee decided this, and it was sent to the government, this is what it is, and you should not stop this, they did not honor that committee's commitment. They made commitment with the committee that whatever you do it, we will do it. So now this sent the signals across Pakistan that something's very bad happening in Pakistan. So that is where I believe it is there. But I think it is not end of the world. Successive governments have done this. What is the situation today? That our exports are about, let's say, $30 billion, leaving aside this year. Our home remittances is about $30 billion, $29 billion. So it's about $60 billion. Non-tariff exports and all those things, maybe $62 billion. Our imports are about $75 to $80 billion. So we are left with a gap of $15 billion. And that $15 billion or $13 billion or $17 billion is coming up every year. A day would come when nobody would support you. Because every time you go to your friendly countries, you just beg them. We want these $2 billion, we want $4 billion. Then now the time has come that they said, sorry, get an approval from the IMF and then only we'll give it to you. We have got $8 billion commitments for the friendly countries. And only China has honored that. All others have said, sorry, we can't do it. So that's how it has happened, and what we are seeing in Pakistan is, it's not that Pakistan has become an assetless country or our assets are gone. We have got huge assets in Pakistan. And one more thing is very good about Pakistan is that it's an agrarian society. We've got agriculture based. 70% of our people are depend on the agriculture. And we don't have any food security problem. We grow our own food. Sometimes we import feed, but that's 4, 5% or 7% of our requirement. But usually it is there that we are doing it the way we have no issue of eating. And then I just want to narrate an incident. We were having a dinner at the President House somewhere in about 98. I was there in Site Association. Japanese ambassador was sitting beside me. In those times, you remember, we were being labeled as, Islamic terrorist country, because we were going for this nuclear technology. Topics were very hot, as narrated by my friend. And then, at that time, in 97 or 98, and he said, and people were talking about that Pakistan would be branded as the terrorist state of the world. At that time, he said, why were you people afraid of? See, we Japanese can be afraid of, because we don't have food. We don't have material to build our house. We don't have water to drink. And, there are so many other things. Why you? Tell them to do it. If you're doing tomorrow, tell them to do it today. They will come begging to you, and you will progress. If you'll be on your own, without imports, you'll do everything. You'll do everything. Look at Iran. I was there in Iran. Iran is a sanctioned country. I was surprised to see the progress and the way the people are living. And the prosperity there, at least in Tehran, was so good. Highways, underpasses, overhead bridges. What was not there? Everything was there. Hotels, I mean, everything was there. They built it. Say, even the toiletries which you have in the room, they were all made in Iran. We all have made in China. So, but they did it, and they are very fine about it. They are good about it. So what we have done, we have been made dependent on our imported goods. We have failed to create the import substitute industry in Pakistan. So there are many, many problems which are plagued, but let's talk about this economic problem, which has really arisen out of all this scenario, and everybody is worried about it. Tell me, in this gathering, everybody is an industrialist or a big-time trader? Who has lost money in last year? Who has not made 1% growth or 0% growth? I think that anybody in this room would not be there who has actually lost. A net loss is not to anybody sitting in the room. I can promise I don't have a loss in my business, and we are all fine. But the perception of Pakistan has been tarnished. We feel that's what will happen tomorrow. Even somebody who's got 5,000 rupees, he said, "Mamu ka beta rehta, usko bhej do yahan, pata nahi kya ho jayega." So that, as greenback has actually the problem with this, that we all want to buy dollars, keep it there, and Eurobond or whatever you call it, euros, pounds, we are doing it that we don't have trust in our money. In spite of the fact that money which we are converting into dollars has come out after the business which you're doing in Pakistan. Now, what kind of a hope you're looking at? If you think that this currency is not going to last, and I don't know what will happen to this, who is to be blamed? We ourselves. We have done this. If we would not have buying dollars from the open market at whatever price, it was not possible that we should see these days. It was not possible. So who is to be blamed for this situation? It's we own. I know that somebody told me, one of our elders, once I was dejected with the textile business, and I went to him and I asked, "Sir, I think we should switch over to this textile." That intelligent man asked me one question, only one line, and he said, "Are you eating your capital?" I said, "No." "Well, get up and go and put up a hard work. If you want to do something else, do it, but don't get out of that business. If you're not losing money, there's no question about it." So that's what we have to understand, that this country has given us all. We are whatever we are today. It is because of this country. Look at those people who have been left in India. Today, they cannot even go out. They cannot wear the cap. They cannot go to masjids. And there are cities where they're getting killed. If you just touch that cow and you're nowhere. So this country has given you security. This country has given you identity. This country is in problem. Where is what we are? I mean, it is not necessary that you should be a very good speaker, posted at a very big post, or you are you're a very big billionaire. You in self, whatever you are, a Pakistani. If you're there as a Pakistani, then you should play the role of a Pakistani. That's what I'm saying. That's nothing else. So that role would automatically bring up this country. This country has the potential to export $100 billion, not less than that. We are only exporting $30 billion. And it is not shameful that all of us together, such a big business elite, 29,000 exporters, we are exporting $30 billion. And all those manpower which we exported out of this country is bringing in $30 billion. Isn't that shame? I mean, those people who actually labors there, officers, very low income people, they are sending $500, $1,000. They are sending $30 billion. So what should be the exports of Pakistan? If you look at only that figure, if you don't do this, then there's no fun in exporting. Let's export the manpower and make this $60 billion and all the ills of Pakistan are over. Should we do this? I mean, the question is that can we do this? Can we afford to do this? With the 220 million population, with the kind of jobs required. Can we do this? We have to give jobs to these people. Our country is blessed with people who are 25 years and less of age. It is 65% of the people are 25 years or less of the people, less age. Now this is a volcano. I always been telling the prime ministers and wherever I meet that this is a volcano. Believe me, this is a double-edged sword. You use them or they'll use you. So if we don't bring these things in order, I don't think that we are going anywhere. So we have to understand what has happened, what has made all these things, whatever we are looking at. Everybody's talking about economy. Those who never bothered about the economy, they are asking. A pan wala said, "Kya ho raha hai? Dollar kahan jayega?" Then tu pan bana bhai. So that is what is happening. Everybody is interested. Once I was listening to that one of that priest in India with a big beard. He said, tea stall holder in India, if you go to him and you just stand there, he will tell you that Tendulkar did not bet like this, Modi should not have said this should have not been, this policy is wrong, and he would actually elaborate and criticize all these things. He knows everything except that he cannot make a better tea, which is his profession. So we don't concentrate on our actual profession. We don't concentrate. We are just looking at what is happening. हम कहीं रह नहीं जाए. That is a strategy कि मैं भी डॉलर भेज दूँ. तूने क्या किया? दुबई कितने भेजे हैं? So these talks are going on. And my brother lives in Gulf, so 30 years. And what he says, what Pakistanis are doing. When you're talking about hope, once one of our customers came to me and they said, I am in Dubai, ask your brother to keep this 150,000 dirhams as a manat, just keep it. And I said, no problem, I'll tell him. When I called him, he said, no, don't tell him no. There's no space with me. I got millions as a manat. I can't just do it. Please don't tell him to come. I can't keep. This is the position of Pakistanis sending dollars to other countries. This is the position we want to establish our businesses, at least part of them abroad and outside Pakistan. And those who are not doing it, they're keeping it as amanat with those people who can really keep it and safe for them. So this is what we are doing with Pakistan. Difference of 20 rupees in the open market and the bank price is what? It's buying dollars. Dollar is what? A commodity. Dollar is just like a commodity. It's not something else. It's demand and sales, demand and supply. When you got more demands and less supply, price of the commodity will go up. Similarly, the dollar has gone up. So these things have happened. But I believe that the other thing which we have to all think about is to please IMF. Now, when you want to please IMF and get this agreement done, I sometimes say that, I just don't want to say, but really I just want to share with you that this is geopolitical. This is not something which is, purely economic. Shabar Saab would maybe throw more light on this, that this is geopolitical. We are being pressurized. We have been, pressed to the wall. I mean, what we can give to them, we can only give it to them what we have. And as a banker, they're looking at the ability to pay. There is a principle in banking that whenever you go for, let's say OD limits or borrowing, they ask you what business you're doing, then they see your feasibilities and viabilities, and then they say, okay, how are you going to pay me back? Your profits are not much. Either you increase your profit, lower down your expenditures, or whatever, then only I can give it to you. Because banks feel that they can get money back only when the person who is borrowing has a good ability to pay. And that ability to pay can only come through a better feasibility and better viability. That's all we're looking at. So this is the place where IMF is, I don't think they're sincere. Because now you look at things, what has happened. How exports have gone down. At least I can vouch for textiles because I belong to that sector. So that's 60% of our exports, the total exports of Pakistan, 60% are textile. Now what they did, there was a fast regime of sales tax refunds. Okay, they are not abiding by that. Refunds of February and March are still pending. Then the DLTL claims, which are local duty and drawbacks, they froze those. Then the regional competitive tariff of electricity and gas, withdrawn, in spite of the fact that the notification said that this would last till 30th of June. They withdrew in February. And in February, the gas notification says that the implementation would be from retrospectively from January 1st. Then interest rates, 21%, 23%. Then refinance rate up by 6 to 18%. All this is what? These are all numbers. I mean, these are all numbers. So see, now these numbers melt down to what? Melt down to cost of manufacturing. Melt down to cost of doing business in Pakistan. Now, and numbers are to be matched in the international market in the price war. And that price war is among whom? If you just talk about the regional competitors, it's Bangladesh and India. Then, of course, Vietnam and Cambodia, they are also the rivals, but they are in the finer quality now. So the common qualities which we do, Bangladesh and this. In recent, when the Prime Minister's Committee, we had made a presentation, and the presentation by the Commerce Ministry said that we are not doing bad, sir. America's imports from the world have shrunk by 12%, and EU's imports have shrunk by 9%. And we have shrunk by 10% in US and 8% or 10% in EU. So we are not doing that bad because their imports have shrunk. Now I said, Mr. Prime Minister, this is not true. See, we have to understand that those qualities which they're talking about, those imports which they're talking about, they're different class. We are different class suppliers. We have failed. In the same period, Bangladesh has improved by 9%. $5 billion more export to US and EU, whereas we have lost 2.1 billion. Actually, we went down, we retarded by 2.1%. Now, all these figures, all these steps which have been taken to please IMF, would that guarantee IMF that they will get us the ability to pay? Would that help Pakistan? This 1 year or this half a year has shown that 50% of the vendors have closed down because the electricity prices have been going up by 100%, gas prices by 35%. So all this cost has gone up. So nobody can afford it. So we are losing in the price war. My suggestion to you all sitting here, you all are nothing but you are actually opinion makers. You are opinion makers. You can speak everywhere. So with these 6 points which I have narrated, if these 6 points are brought back to the position where they were, then you can commit to the government that we can export $10 billion more. We can export $5 billion more. What is our problem? Our problem is that we are short of $15 billion. Our home remittances have gone down because this open market difference. Somebody who's sending $500 to his mother, if he's getting 10,000 rupees or 12,000 rupees more from the open market, he will not send it to the banks. But I tell you that I've been to the world. Overseas Pakistanis are very patriotic. They do this. That's why we still had this $29 billion from home remittances. This, you have to speak out. That if IMF stops this, you'll further deteriorate in exports. And this deterioration will bring further widening the gap between the imports and export, because you won't be able to export. And once these buyers are lost, it's always very difficult to get them back. It is obvious that when I'm importing, let's say from Indonesia, from Mr. June, then suddenly if I change it, and Mr. June finds somebody in Bangladesh cheaper and same in the quality, and when I come back, okay, I have now the facilities back, Mr. June buy from me. Mr. June said, thank you very much. I'm settled. They are supplying. I have no problems in supplies. If you come a little lower than this, then let me know. That's what be the answer. So this, you have to speak out that these 6 things needs to be given back to the Pakistan and the exports of Pakistan. That is the thing. And then one biggest problem, I think I would call it a biggest problem in numbers. Shabar Sahab would maybe correct me. We are spending 1,300 billion rupees on state-owned enterprises, SOEs. 1,300 billion rupees, hard-earned tax money, is going to maintain those units which are government-owned. They are losing this kind of a money. Maybe PIA, steel mill, name it, heavy mechanical complex. There are numbers of there. And they are losing money, and we are fulfilling this because there are political reasons to it. See, try to imagine that, let's say PIA, and then other airlines you see, Emirates. PIA is the airline which actually was responsible to make Emirates airline and start the Emirates Airlines. A crew of PIA was the crew of first Emirates Airlines. And you know why EK is the logo? It's Emirates to Karachi, and they're maintaining this. EK means Emirates to Karachi. EK. So that's what our position was. We were advisors to the Korean government. We had, kind of a things. We were looked as an Asian tigers. We were looked at it as a growing economy. And then today, what we are today is that we are spending money where we should not be spending. 1,300. They are not giving the subsidy of electricity, which is about $100 billion, 100 billion rupees, but they're spending 1,300 billion rupees of our hard-earned money. Imagine that if PIA is privatized. That means it is privatized today, and from the 1st of July, somebody else takes the control. The 1st of July's loss would go to that buyer. So that clock, which is of the reverse clock, which is daily, which is giving loss to the nation, would stop then and there. Plus, you will have a better Pakistan International Airline. Private sector has proved this, that the airlines are running it. New airlines are coming in, Sial, Jinnah, and so many other, Serene. They're doing very good. They're full. They know what they're doing. And they're expanded to international routes. So why we have to keep this? Why we have to see that, why we can't sell the steel mill land? Why there's a dispute between provincial and federal governments? Why? What is wrong with our country? In last 5 years, tell me one single privatization which has taken place. It's nothing. No. University launching ceremony. Then I said that, Mr. Prime Minister, privatization is the key word. We have to do it. What he said, Muhammad Mia is the minister. You know this. Can he do the privatization? If some Prime Minister is saying this, that he will do the privatization. And I called Muhammad Mia that I saw this and this. He said, no, what can I do? Departments don't answer me. Departments don't respond to my queries. So I said, then why you stay there? I mean, if you can't do this, and if you've been given, Muhammad Mia is a kind of a person who he can be blamed for anything, but not for anything which is related to underhand money. He is absolutely fine with it. So the Prime Minister was. So I said, if you two are there, and if you can't do privatization will not take place in the country. So what I'm saying is that things needs to be seen in a proper perspective. Can we afford $1,300 billion? When you say $1,300 billion spending, that means $2,600 surplus to your budget. And that $4,000 billion which you have to pay as interest, 7,200 billion, that would be cut down by 2,600. So, and then daily losses which you are paying, daily allowances which you are paying, the pensions and the gratuities and the jobs which you are doing, that can be saved. This is one hope that we should push, all of us should push. And I don't think that Pakistan is going to default. This is my personal view. Maybe, and so I told somebody that we might go for restructuring. And he said, what is restructuring? It is default. I said, no, there are two ways and those who know about the markets, Faisla committees and all those things where one shows inability to pay, then he comes out in open and says, I can't pay, and people sit down and finalize that, okay, that is a default. But when I go to someone, let's say Sharik, you owe me money, but see, I don't have the money. Kindly give me some time, space. He will ask me, what do you want? I said, 2 years and no further interest, and we'll pay the installments. He said, okay, no, then settle to 1 year, 1.5 years. This is what restructuring is. So I think the worst come is that we go for restructuring. As somebody, one of the learned speakers also said, that this is the way, what we are doing. And then business community should get united. We are not united. Let's accept this. We are not united. See, I can just, because its time is there, Ijaz. See, when there were so many differences between Pakistan and Afghanistan. We made a Pakistan-Afghanistan joint chamber. And in the first meeting at Kabul, when the directors were there, 11 from their side, 11 from our side. And then, after meeting the president of Mr. Karzai at that time, we just sat down and started, doing whatever it is. And I said there was a meeting after 3 days on some regulations. I said, we are not going to the meeting. Let's decide here on the table that what we have to do, what we want. Let's decide among ourselves. And that only can be done, and then we decided.
Question answer
No more, we were not entitled. This is what we want. And within 6 months, 7 of those decisions were implemented in letter and spirit, and then notification as was issued. Same is the case today, that the Pakistan's business community needs to get united in the hope that we know that Pakistan is going to survive. We know that Pakistan is not there to doom. But we have to play our part. Our part is not that we should start sending the dollars outside and opening the foreign exchange accounts outside the world and save ourselves. The hope of Pakistan surviving only comes when we are convinced from the inside. We have to see that Pakistan is there. We are there because Pakistan is there. I think a few thousands might go outside Pakistan. What about those teeming millions of Pakistan? Sure. So that is the key word which you have to see. And in the end, I would say that thank you very much for inviting. And I think it was a very enlightening, especially the speech from you was very good. And everybody. So what in the end, I would just end with this. I think it's Allama Iqbal, that अंधेरों को बुरा कहने से कुछ न होगा, अंधेरों को बुरा कहने से कुछ न होगा, हर एक को अपने हिस्से का दिया जलाना होगा. For Mr. June, what I'm saying is that you just can't blame the darkness. You have to, yourself, have to light up some of the torch which you really want to have, to remove and to get away with this darkness. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.